Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Aajay Shah, and this is another Facebook Live. I've been doing this Facebook Live on a regular basis for last 6 to 8 weeks. As we have a lot of downtime, a lot of free time on our hand, I think it makes sense to learn more, educate each other, learn from each other, and grow actually more during this crisis and be better than even before the crisis came. So again, my philosophy now is to use any crisis, use any struggle as a seed for growth. And I've been talking about stoicism, I've been talking about physical health, mental health, spiritual health. And again, I think as we go through struggles, it almost becomes important that we exercise regularly, we sleep better, we eat healthy, we maintain our relationship, we spend time with family and friends. So again, this is my continuation of many of the common topics I've been talking for last 6 months. Today's topic is very important topic. It's more about our mental health, and I always believe more so now that it's just not the physical health, but mental health is very important. Healthy mind is a happy mind, and a happy mind is a healthy mind. So we need a good mental health, a happiness itself to be healthy and to live long. So today's topic is an important topic. Today's topic is about forgiveness. Forgiveness. A little bit of a difficult topic for me to discuss because I'm not an expert psychologist. I'm not a counselor, but I understand what forgiveness means, and I have tried my best in my own life to practice the virtue of forgiveness. Forgiveness. So, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness actually is a conscious. It's a conscious act. That means you're doing it with your knowledge. You're doing with your own will. You're doing with your own desire. So forgiveness is very conscious act. It's very deliberate act. That means you're doing it with a lot of intentions. You're doing it with a lot of planning. You're doing it with a lot of method. So forgiveness is again a conscious act, and it's a very deliberate act. And it's done to release feelings of resentment, vengeance towards a person or a group of people who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve your forgiveness. So it's not whether they deserve the forgiveness or not, but you are doing it for your own benefit. And we will talk about what are the benefits to yourself when you forgive somebody or forgive a group of people. Forgiveness is a very hard thing to do. Matter of fact, it's one of the hardest virtue to practice. Forgiveness is a very hard thing to do. But as I always say, harder the thing you need to do, better and more the benefits are. So even though it's harder to forgive somebody or group of people, it actually has a tremendous benefits. Actually, it provides us a great mental, physical, and spiritual benefits. We'll talk about that. And the number one thing to remember in forgiveness is that even though a person does not deserve the forgiveness, you are still forgiving that person because forgiving that person is mostly beneficial to you. It may be beneficial to other person, but it's mostly beneficial to you. But again, one thing I want to make sure we all understand that forgiveness and forgetting is different. Forgiveness means you are essentially removing that ill feeling, that malice feeling about some person. But forgetting is not necessary. So forgiving is necessary, forgiving is must, but forgetting is not necessary. Forgetting actually keeps the incident happen from that person, how he harmed you, how he belittled you, how he was angry at you, how he betrayed you. So forgetting is not necessary. Matter of fact, forgetting is actually not a right thing to do. You have to remember what happened, because that way that kind of act will be avoided in the future, will be prevented in the future. So forgetting is not necessary, but forgiving is necessary. And actually, forgiveness does not involve other person feeling sorry or saying sorry to you. Typically, it's a healing for yourself. And actually, in my opinion, I compare forgiveness as when a snake bites you and transmits the venom in you. You typically don't go after the snake and try to kill the snake. You actually go first take the venom out. So the harm the other person has done to you is actually a venom in your own mind, in your own heart, in your own soul. So you first need to get that venom out before you go after the snake. Obviously, going after snake is not necessary. Many times snake goes away and you don't even know where the snake went. But it has left a venom in you. And that venom needs to be taken out. And that's what I call forgiveness. So you need to take that venom out. Many times we don't realize that when we forgive people, actually, even though the act was committed by them, you could have played some role why that act happened. So I think analyzing the original act, why when a person harmed you, is very important, because if you had played even a very small role in that act, then you may ease in forgiving that person. Even though if the fault was of 100% of the other party, I think still forgiving is very important. Even though you were at zero fault, you still should forgive, because, like I said, forgiving is only good for you. Actually, many times we don't realize that we take a lot of actions from other people personally. Like somebody harms us, somebody betrays us, somebody gets angry on us, somebody actually belittles us, somebody puts us down, somebody doesn't treat us right. But we don't realize that what personally we take is not truly is happening. The person who did to you actually is that kind of person who does it to everybody. So it wasn't only to you. If you realize that, then the forgiveness becomes slightly easier because you are not taking it personally. So let's see, what are the benefits of forgiveness? Number one, forgiveness rekindles or reproduces love in your heart, love in your mind, love in your spirit. So you actually have a better relationship. Not just a better relationship with the person who harmed you, if you can reconcile with that person, but also better relationship with other people, other family members, other friends. Once you forgive somebody, matter of fact, it kindles, it reignites the love in your heart, the good spirit in your mind and soul, and that actually helps with other relationships. Forgiveness definitely improves the mental health. It prevents many anxiety attacks, many panic attacks, even depression. It improves your sleep. It lowers your blood pressure. It actually makes the immune system much stronger. It improves even the heart health. As a cardiologist, I know that people who are not able to forgive have much higher chance of heart attack. So again, forgiveness also helps to improve your heart health, and it definitely improves your self-esteem. It improves your productivity. It improves your creativity. So again, forgiveness has a tremendous benefit to yourself, regardless whether the other person gets benefit or not. So the question is, how do I reach the state of forgiveness? First, you have to recognize the value of forgiveness. Value of forgiveness we just outlined is very important. We must know about them. Forgiveness also actually many times requires soul searching, analyzing what had happened. Forgiveness also involves analyzing your own emotions, which we will talk about it. And if forgiveness eventually requires a systematic plan. So if you are not forgiving, there are good chance that you are holding that anger in you, that grudge in you, and that actually will affect the other future relationship with other people also. Many times you are so wrapped up in what event happened in the past that it takes your fun of your present situation away also. So that actually, by not forgiving, you actually suffer yourself. Many times, because you're not forgiving the situation, it actually spills into your overall well-being, overall your happiness, overall your comfort, overall your mental peace, overall your serenity, and actually those feelings are actually very unhealthy. Many times, when forgiveness does not happen, you lose the purpose in life, you lose the meaning in life. That obviously actually is very unhealthy for your long-term health. And many times when you are not forgiving one person, actually you are not able to have a better relation with a whole group of people. So again, forgiveness has a tremendous benefits. And actually many times people ask me that is forgiveness requires reconciliation with the person who harmed you. That's not necessary. If you are in a relation with that person still, and if you forgive, maybe the relation will rekindle and you will have a possibly even a better or higher relation. But reconciliation is not necessary. And if person obviously is not alive anymore, and if you are forgiving that person for what he or she had done the harm to you, even including many times physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, and if the person is dead, even though that person is gone and that person is not going to benefit from you forgiving that person, you yourself are going to get tremendous benefit from forgiving that person. So again, remember, forgiving even a dead person who harmed you is also beneficial, and you should do it. So how can you start a process of forgiveness? Number one, find a quiet time. Analyze what had happened when the person harmed you. Pick one person only at a time, or pick a group of people who had harmed you. Don't pick too many people to forgive. Pick one person who had harmed you to forgive. First, start analyzing the situation, what role you played, how it's affecting you, how it's affecting your emotions, how it's not good for you long term. Once you plan to forgive, start contemplating how you're going to behave with that person. First thing you can do is you can become forgivingly fit, because when you start forgiving one person, gradually that habit will form in you, and you will be able to forgive many more people. You should also address your inner pain, what exactly pain you are going through. Actually, you should also find a meaning to your suffering. When that person had harmed you, the suffering you went through actually could be a beginning of some new meaning for yourself, a growing opportunity, and you might have grown from that suffering. Like I always say, suffering can be many times seeds for a new growth. So even though if somebody had harmed you, somebody had caused a pain on you, that pain and suffering could have become a seed for new growth for yourself. Many times, actually, I have learned myself that when a person has not treated me well, actually, I have bettered myself. I have learned more appropriate things from that event, and actually, I have turned into a better person. Many times, forgiving the other person first involves forgiving yourself. Many times people ask me that if you forgive somebody, and if that person does not change, what happens? Actually, you are doing the forgiveness for your own benefits. Most of the benefits of forgiveness happens to you. So if the other person does not change, you don't have to worry about it. Matter of fact, you don't have to even know that that person has changed or not. Obviously, if that person has not changed, it would be smart for you to avoid that person, not be in too much contact with that person, so you don't have to go through that major suffering again and again. Why the forgiveness is so difficult? Forgiveness is difficult because to have that harm is a very heavy burden. And if you're not able to discuss the harm you went through with anybody, you carry that burden. That burden leads to sometimes not proper thinking. And that's the reason forgiveness is a heavy burden, very difficult. Sometimes forgiveness doesn't make sense because you rationalize that the person has harmed you, the person has really done a damage to your mind, damage to your body, and you cannot forgive that person. But you have to realize the forgiving actually is done for yourself more so than the other person. And many times forgiveness takes immense courage. Forgiveness actually requires a lot of strength. And people who have harmed, people who are not feeling well mentally themselves, it takes a lot of courage to forgive. And to gather that courage is a very difficult thing to do. So forgiveness is not a very simple, very easy thing to do. It requires a lot of efforts, a lot of actions, a lot of courage, a lot of strength. But that's the reason I always say that when you forgive somebody, even though it's hard, the benefits are tremendous. So let's repeat what are the steps to forgiveness. Number one, identify who hurt you. Just pick one person at a time. Number two, identify your hurt. Identify your hurt. That what kind of damage, what kind of hurt you had. Was it a failure? Was it a missed opportunity? Was it a heartbreak? Was it a relationship break? Was it a person mean to you? So identify what kind of hurt the person had. Number two, identify your emotions. Whether was it a sadness, whether it was a grief or anger or loneliness or pity, or were you feeling even deeper emotions like hate, disgust, jealousy, or depression? Once you identify your own emotions, it will be much easier to forgive. Third thing is, first forgive yourself for any part you have played in that event. And once you forgive yourself, it will be easier to forgive the other person. Next thing is, sit down and start having a very slow breath while you're contemplating the forgiveness. Because when you are keeping your breath slow and your mind calm and cool and serene, your thoughts of forgiveness will be much easier. And the next thing is forgive unconditionally. Don't forgive a person if that person change or not. Don't forgive a person if that person is not going to do the same thing again or not. Again, forgiving is unconditionally. Just like the love is unconditional, forgiveness is also unconditional. And be grateful. Be grateful that you have a strength, you have courage to forgive that person. Be grateful that the love in your heart is going to rekindle, and you're going to go ahead and have better relationship with other people. So be grateful. And last thing is understand and celebrate and realize and actually congratulate yourself that now you are able to forgive that person, and the love in your heart, love in your mind, love in your spirit will rekindle, will reignite, and you'll be able to have a better relation with the person who harmed you, hopefully, possibly, and also the other people also. So forgiveness actually not only helps you, helps the person who harmed you, rekindles the relationship, but it also helps with other relationship. So again, forgiveness is a very important virtue. I call it a virtue. Just like in Stoicism, there are a lot of virtues. Forgiveness is very important virtue. It's very beneficial to you. We should practice it. We should make we should become a forgiveness fit in our mind, in our heart. Once we learn how to forgive, I think many insults, many harms becomes easier to handle. We don't keep it internally. We don't suffer, and forgiveness is an important skill. So again, this was somewhat of a complex topic for me because I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor, but I understand the value of forgiveness. There are a lot of good YouTube videos by psychologists on forgiveness. There are a lot of good books written on forgiveness. I've seen many people, including in my family, including my friends, who are suffering because they are not able to forgive their loved ones. They're not able to forgive their parents sometimes. They're not able to forgive their spouse. They're not able to forgive their friends. So again, I've seen many people suffer. I myself have realized, and now I try to move on, try to forgive people who does any harm to me. Matter of fact, I just don't take it anything inside. I try to forgive people as quickly as the harm is done, and I move on. And that has helped me tremendously. So please learn the skill of forgiveness. Read more about it. Watch more YouTube videos. Watch this video again and again, and forgive all the people you need to forgive starting today. Start with one person, then the next person, and forgive everyone in your life who has done any harm to you. Thank you.